for those that choose to run and win, get sworn in under official oath. Regardless if you're a municipal judge or the Governor Walker, you all get the same oath. So we have to do this with Russell today, and that'd be kind of fun to come here. So we're going to do this. It's real quick. So Russell, will you raise your right hand? Do you swear that you will affirm and support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of your office to your ability, to the best of your ability, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. And we're all done. Russell signs it, and I notarize it. I don't know if you're familiar with a notary, but a notary is an official signature. Yeah, right there. You have to apply through the state of Wisconsin and have a bond, and you can witness a lot of legal documents if you're a notary. So I will do that, and then we are done. It took us longer to drive here.
Yeah, but I've been serving for 8 years as a village board trustee, which is basically the legislative body, you know, of the village. And the big thing a village or a government body has is infrastructure. That's the wealth of any town. Your roads, your bridges, your pipes, sewer pipe, water, and all that is really the value of any governmental body. And so we have to make decisions on things like that. In fact, one of the big decisions we made was overbuilding a new plant and fixing roads last year, I believe, like the Main Street needed work and things like that. So now I'm leaving that part of government, and I'll be the municipal judge, which basically means I'll have to apply the law. If you get in trouble, you know, if you get a traffic ticket or an ordinance violation or something like that, then I'll have to decide, you know, what to do to enforce the law. So I'll have to decide whether you're innocent or guilty, or most things would just go to like the village attorney, and you have a chance to discuss things with that. And if you still thought that you hadn't done anything wrong and we thought you did, then you'd have to go to a trial, and we'd have to hold the trial. And I don't write law, I would just administer whatever's written. And that's kind of what the change here is. Does anybody have any questions for us? Or?
And he'll do it once a month. We have municipal court. So
can you elaborate on, it's an important concept for them to learn. Some of the guys haven't taken government yet, but you mentioned you're not making law, you're enforcing it. Sometimes we hear about judges who, quote, legislate from the bench. Why is it important that you're the guy who's not making law, but you have this view that you're only there to execute justice or administer the law?
Things are written. You know, when the legislature writes the law, you know, it has to be enforced. You can't wander off from that law. You have to just apply what has been written. So you can't just do willy-nilly whatever you want, or you shouldn't be able to anyway. You should just enforce what's there. It doesn't matter what you think about what that law is. What matters is what it actually says.
And can you explain your job as clerk?
Sure. I'm the clerk with the village. I'm appointed. I'm not elected. I've been there 24 years. We have a police department, a fire department, a water and sewer utility. I do all the accounting, elections, make sure that things run smoothly. We've spent a lot of time on our new wastewater treatment plant project that Russell had mentioned. We just borrowed it's a $6.1 million project. We've got over $2 million in grants. So they're federal grants, so there's a lot of work, a lot of paperwork with that. You're kind of the liaison in the village in my position for the residents and the board. You know, a lot of complaints come in. Get to know that we're only 1,400 people, so small town, you kind of know everybody. So yeah, we're happy to have Russell. I've served with him 8 years, so I think he's done great. We get along real well. Sometimes at a board level, you have people of different, it's not a political position when you're on the village board, but people have their beliefs, and it's a nonpartisan position. And I think for the most part, we all you have to agree to disagree at some point. You may have different views, but overall, it runs pretty smooth. I was gonna tell you, I passed along the official oath just so you can read it. And I'll pass this one now that it's signed, so just be very careful with it. But there's on the bottom, on the left-hand side, there's an official seal of the village. That only goes on certain official documents in the village, so actually pre-stamp that ahead of time, because it's a big old iron steel. And then, or iron seal, and then, my notary certificate is also, this little thing, so, you can all look at it, you'll see it's raised on the paper. If you want to pass it around, that's fine, that'll stay, we're required to keep those forever, so that'll be in our, village files.
So this is a historical document.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have to keep everything. In fact, we're reorganizing our records room. We have things back to, I think I can't remember if it's 1886 or 1887. Everything was handwritten. It's really cool. You're almost afraid to touch it. I usually wear like latex gloves, just don't know that I have to, but I just out of respect for the documents. So yeah, interesting position. So we have a police department with 1 police chief, 1 full-time officer, and 3 part-time officers. We have a great fire department with interns. If you're ever interested in firemen or EMS, emergency technician as a career, we do an internship program. We're the only one in Rock County that does that. So very good program. So yeah.
You mentioned being a notary public.
Yes.
Some of these guys might not know what that is, what it means to get something notarized, why someone would need to get something notarized.
Official documents. This is an official document. That's why I said just be careful because I have to keep this forever. Certain things in the village, all resolutions. If we make a decision on something that is a bigger decision, or if you borrow money, that all has to. That's the village seal. I'm sorry, I'm confusing that with notary. But let's say, trying to think of things I've notarized. I've notarized a lot of official court documents. Sometimes parents are going to court for things and need some child custody things. We do that. You have to show your driver's license. To be a notary, you have to pass a test through the state of Wisconsin Department of Administration. It's online. So you do that, and there's quite a bit to it because there's different rules for notary. If you're doing things for overseas documents, that's all different. So yeah, so it's just a official witness, mostly legal paperwork. So yes.
What are the guidelines, like what do you have to do beforehand to become a municipal judge? Like are there specific like tests and classes?
Well, I have taken some classes on my own in preparation for running. I have 4 days of training to do, May 1 through 4th. The first 2 days are for new judges, and the other 2 are for just ongoing. So every year you have to go up to 2 days of training from the state Supreme Court puts it on. So you have to. That's how you're trained.
He has a court clerk too that she's been doing it I think 22 years. So she's pretty well versed in if you get a traffic citation, how many points that's off your driver's license. She does all that stuff. He makes the decisions and she does the paperwork. So yeah.
And I've been attending our court for several months to try to get ready for it, and I was invited up to the courtroom in Evansville by the sitting judge up there, and I spent I think about 5.5 hours up in his courtroom one day going through that and juvenile court and that to try to prepare myself because I have to make these decisions, so it kind of rests on me.
So, important question. If I were driving through Orfordville speeding, could you fix that ticket for me? No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't fix it, but that's more to the point.
Alexander, you just failed this class. No, but on a more serious note, we all see courtroom dramas on TV and whatnot. What do you think, just off the top of your head, what do you see that, as you've been learning what real life is like on the other side of the bench, what are some misconceptions you think people might have about your position?
Well, I guess the big thing is there are a lot of people that just believe things that they don't have a chance to get in ground. If they were wrongly accused or something like just not the case. I mean, if you come before court and you don't believe you're guilty, I mean, the next step would be a meeting with the attorney. And as I heard last month, 85% of the cases that go that far are resolved there. So really, we're only left, I think we probably had 45 tickets or something like that last month. And out of that, I think we had 2 trials. So that's really not, most things are settled out of court. But I really think that's the biggest misconception, that people think they don't have any say or anything. And that's just not really the case.
Our trials they're not a jury trial.
Right.
They're a trial, usually 2 attorneys come and argue the case. The police officer is there, so.
The drunk driving.
Yeah, a lot of drunk driving tickets are trials. A lot of people will request a trial just to get more time, and we bring the attorney back another month, and we spent money on an attorney and they don't show up, so, yeah, a lot of repetitive people. To find out, we have a high school in our municipality, so there's some things kids do, fighting, whatever. Our bigger stuff like assaults, I'm sorry if I'm taking the.
No, go ahead.
Any kind of assaults or something serious, we would send those to circuit court.
Sure.
What made you decide to do this?
Well, I knew we had a need, and we had a resignation of a judge who later died during the campaign. In fact, he wasn't able to serve anymore. And I felt I had done long enough as the village trustee. I'd served there 8 years. And I thought it was time for something new. And, I just think it's, we need people that will listen and be honest when you're sitting up there, and I just thought it was important.
We were talking on the way here about court. When you're in a small town of 1,400 people, at some point he's gonna have to deal with somebody he knows.
Yeah.
You know, so you gotta be there.
Yeah.
You know. Hopefully it's not Alexander.
Yeah, I told him we better not get a ticket because I told him I'll send him to another court.
I haven't gotten one yet, so I'm pretty good. so
Yet.
far.
Yes.
No, I'll just plan one today.
I like the fact that you do a government class. A lot of schools, I guess, aren't doing that anymore, is what I'm.
Yeah, I mean, current events class like this, not a lot of schools do
Okay,
it all anymore.
yeah, that's a good thing. Yep.
Bailey.
Do you think you're gonna like try and after this is done? Do you think you're gonna try and go for a higher position or stay?
I don't know. I mean, you take things as you go. I wasn't planning on doing this 5 years ago either. So you just, life changes and you decide what you want to do.
How long is your term?
2 years.
2 years.
4 years.
Was it 4?
4 years.
Okay.
It used to be 2.
Whoa. She got me.
Are you having second thoughts now?
No, not at all.
No, it's a 4-year term. They used to be 2 years.
Okay.
They changed like Rock County Sheriff, County Treasurer, County Clerk, and municipal judges to 4. Forgot to mention that.
I was unaware of that one.
Oh no, I'm just gonna feel
Yeah.
government.
And he has to live in the village. He has to be a resident inside the village limits to be able to do that.
So you made a commitment not to move for a couple of years.
4.
Or either that, I would have to resign if I moved.
Right.
And that's what it would amount to.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thanks for asking.
We appreciate it.
It was nice coming